God put this guy, my bestie, in my life right when I thought everything was over. I think this song is really just summing up what it feels like to have a broken dream and then pick up the pieces and say, you know what? It doesn't just have to be that baby girl dream. It can be this new dream that you create together, this new life and this new hope. The song basically came out of the idea that you have these big dreams of what love's going to look like. I had these incredible parents that were so in love since they were 15, and they still are. And that was what I thought I was going to get. And it just kept not getting there. And so I think when you have your big life dream, which is, you know, to have a family and be married and all the things, and that gets broken, how do you move on from that? This bouquet is like gathering all these new hopeful memories and dreams and making this new life together along the road of healing. You create your own new bouquet, a new dream, and that's possible. We met when my heart was broken. Thank God that yours was too. So lucky that you were going through what I was going through. Everything happens like in God's timing, and that was just how it started. We were both over. Our lives were over, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, no, it's not over. This is just the beginning. I saw him in his moment of like his life falling apart, and I remember writing him and saying like, can you believe we're both going through this right now? And I didn't even know him enough to even write that, because it was like I didn't know he even existed as a human being, because he's from Oklahoma. He's from a completely different culture, genre of music that I never listened to growing up. Nothing. Like, didn't know one of his songs, nothing. You know, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince somebody it was a miracle, but I just truly know it was, and so does he. And then the next thing you know, we can't leave each other alone. Kiss me, and it felt like home. And that's when I said, you know, when you don't even really know somebody, but somehow you feel like you know them, like you're like, how can I be this comfortable? I've not felt this comfortable in 20 years. As soon as we start talking, let alone we hadn't even touched yet, like I feel like I could just crawl up in your arms and just, I need this hug, you know? I just felt like I finally came home after being away for a long time. You bring the diamond, I'll bring the promise. You bring the dogs and I'll bring the boys. You gave me everything that I wanted. I even got your last name. Thinking about like just what we brought to each other's lives. My husband, when I met him, I remember thinking, when you really see what my life is, like I have this whole, it's not just me, I have this whole thing. There's a bunch of us. And you know, like, you're gonna run. I remember he said to me, this is so crazy because I know exactly where it was. We were texting and he said, I was built for this. And I didn't know it till now. And he said that because in his own family, his dad had adopted his older brother that wasn't his child. His dad went on to raise a whole nother family. It was normal for him to have an amazing dad that just took people in and loved them. And so that was just like one of those things that made me understand what an amazing person he was. So yeah, that's probably why I put that line in it, because it's like we both brought things to each other's lives that we didn't know we were gonna have. I got the faith and you got the patience. I drive you crazy and you drive the truck. I know that we'll be okay. We're making our own bouquet. Well, I don't think I actually drive him crazy, but I think we both, especially in the beginning, drove each other crazy in love, and that's for sure. Blake doesn't care about cars or any of that stuff. He just has this truck, and he's always had the same truck, and it's like this truck that's just disgusting. I feel like going into his world and being in his world was something that I didn't know I needed. I just wasn't like a truck kind of girl from Orange County. Like, it's just such a comforting thing now, like, to be in Blake's truck. And anyone that knows Blake feels the same way. Some flowers and roses tied up in a bow. Now look at the life we made. We're making our own bouquet. For me, the sunflowers really represent Oklahoma, because when I first met Blake, he has this ranch and he's always, you know, on the tractor, and he's doing this like large scale, like gardening. It's really not gardening, but he'll do these plots of like, it's basically food for the animals, and he'll do things from alfalfa or wheat or all these things. And I'm like, that's so boring, or corn, you know? One time he did sunflowers, and it's because the animals love to eat that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Roses just always symbolize love. And then just the idea of tying it in a bow is just like tying it all together and like saying this is forever. Put your name on the dotted line. Signed up for more than me. Saw you turn into the man that you were born to be. It's one thing to like get married to somebody, right? And like say, okay, that's it, I love you. As we all know, you don't just marry each other. Like our family's coming together, and it's like he signed up for a lot more than just, I think that happens a lot. It can be so challenging, but it also can be just so beautiful and something that unexpectedly beautiful. I know that there's like a flower seed growing petal theme on this record. It wasn't really intentional, but I feel like through my faith journey, I've learned a lot about just that seed of hope that you can have. If you look at nature, you can see so much of God's work and reflect it so much in like our lives and learn a lot from that. So I just think I was using that because it was just so real. Flowers are a really huge like hobby for us, and we'll sit around and watch YouTube and just figure out like, oh my gosh, does this grow good in Oklahoma, or what's the history of this one? And it's incredible. And I know that I'm not the only nerd that likes it. They say that people that garden have longer lives. Like it's definitely a spiritual thing that I think that people that get into it like are obsessed with.